Powered by Riverside.
Welcome back to the Movement for Life podcast. My name is Kolby Krystofik, the host of this podcast and the owner-operator at Oxnard MVMNT. This podcast is where we talk about ways that keep us moving throughout our life. Today, we have no guest coach. You guys are going to get to know me a little bit better. I'm going to talk through some of my childhood, early life, schooling, and then how I ended up being here, the owner-operator at Oxnard MVMNT. But before we do, we always start out with ways that we moved in the last week. This last weekend, I actually had a really, really good time. I got to run a Trail Ragnar race. Ours in particular was in Southern California, just outside of Temecula. On an Indian reservation, we ran about 120 miles between 8 of us. It is a 24-hour race, and one person of your 8-person team runs at a time. You have 3 different loops to complete, and everybody has to complete all 3 loops. It was a ton of fun to get out there, to do some running, to say yes to something that was going to be hard. It was going to be very hard. It was camping, very little sleep. It was hot during the day. It was cold at night. It was running up hills, down hills, on trails. It was a blast, and shout out to all my other teammates. We had Gabe, who actually coordinated the entire event for us, did an amazing, amazing job. We have Carlos, we have Alex Lopez, we have Casey and Tyler, we had Angelica, and we had Whitney. It was a great group of our members who got out and used their fitness. It was a ton of fun. I did a couple of CrossFit workouts as well beforehand. Earlier in that week, I'm back on track, working out consistently and saying yes to those fun things. All right, let's jump into this a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about me and my life, my early life. Where am I from? I am originally from Gilbert, Arizona. Small town back then. Gilbert was one of the fastest growing towns for several years in a row. In 2000, I think 15 through like 2020. So every time I go back now, Gilbert is bigger and bigger and bigger and newer and bigger. But I grew up in Gilbert, Arizona. I had some fun kind of chatting with some others. My high school was 3,700 people. 3,700 people at my high school. There was 4 high schools in my town. We had 4 high schools of 3,700 people. My favorite subject in high school was probably physics. Physics was my favorite subject in high school. I took AP classes and dual credit classes in high school. I got some college credit while I was in high school. I enjoyed school. I was kind of a mix of a what I'd be called a self-declared nerd and a jock. I loved playing sports. I swam on the swim team for the high school. I also swam club, and I also played club water polo. So I was in the athlete realm, and I was also interested in school. Although I didn't spend a lot of time on homework, I was always engaged in class. I was always trying to do my best on tests and things like that. I think I ended high school with a 4.4 GPA. And I ended up, I believe, now it's been a while. I was either 7th or 12th in my class of 752 or 742 people. So I was top of my class graduating. I also, kind of fun, I graduated high school early. So the way that it had worked was I got the choice, but when it came to my senior year, I got the choice. They said, you could either take 3 classes this semester and take 3 classes next semester. And normally you would take between 5 and 7 classes in any given semester. So they said you could either take 3 classes this semester or 3 classes next semester, or you can just take all 6 of your remaining classes this semester and then be done. And I was like, well, I kind of don't want to just take 3 classes. What am I going to do with all my time? I was already doing the most training that I had ever done was in high school. I was training about 30 hours a week between swim practice and water polo practice, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And I was like, I don't want to have all of this extra time. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I said, I'm just going to do my regular school schedule, 6 classes, and I'll finish in December. My thought process was maybe I will take a semester and I'll go travel, go to Europe, go to Australia, somewhere warm. Maybe I will take a semester and work and save a bunch of money. Or maybe I will take a semester and go to college and just start college early. I was not sure what I was going to do, but at the beginning of that school year, I had decided, okay, I'm going to graduate early, so something will happen come January of this next year. My senior year was the most intense for my training. I had been playing on the club team. I'd been swimming on the club team, playing water polo on the club team. I had also been on the Olympic development team and the junior national team as well. In 2006, I actually played in Canada, in Banff, at an international water polo tournament representing the United States of America. Was kind of on track to try to do something like the Olympics or be on the national team or something like that. I knew for sure that I was hoping to play in college as well. And with that being said, it was a ton of work. I would go to swim practice in the morning. Swim practice would be from 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. So we'd have to get up at like 4:30, probably like 4:20, and I would just roll out of bed. We would carpool to the pool. This was Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then in the afternoon, after school, so we'd shower up, go to school. After school, I would practice for the swim team for 2 hours, and then I would practice on the water polo team for 2 hours. That was 5 days a week for the swim, 4 days a week for the water polo, and then Saturday mornings, we typically had about 2 hours of training as well. Sundays were always off unless we were playing in tournaments. So that was the most training I had been doing. It was around 6 hours per day, which is absolutely crazy now. And I did that in my entire last semester of school. One of the fun things that I was also doing since freshman year, I was playing water polo on a club team. In addition to the club team in Arizona, I was playing on a club team in California. So I would live with a host family. Shout out to Sylvia and Lawrence and Sam, who I lived with in summers in Simi Valley while I played club water polo on a team called VC, or Ventura County Premier. Little did I know that was going to be a huge part of my life later on down the road. But I got to play on Ventura County Premier. Then that led into me being recruited my senior year on a couple of different teams for college. Those different teams, I got to do a few different recruiting trips. Recruiting trips are when coaches say, hey, we want you to come out and play with us for college. Come out for a weekend, see what the school is like. We'll give you a tour. You can meet the team. You can hang out with the coaches, all that sort of stuff. And I went on a few of them. And I remember I think I went to, my first one was on the East Coast to the Naval Academy, United States Naval Academy. It was super appealing to me. The entire college was going to be paid for. I would also walk out of college with a degree and a position, guaranteed position in the military. I would also, the way that it was kind of set up, I was likely to get some sort of bonus upon graduating as well, if everything went well and I was on track for the things that I was supposed to be tracking. That recruiting trip definitely changed my mind. A ton of respect for Annapolis. I had been to Annapolis several times in the past for the Olympic Development Program training. I loved that space. I knew that I kind of liked the Annapolis area. It was super pretty, but I'd only had been there for a week or two at a time, never an extended period of time. And the Naval Academy is something else. I immediately thought, there is no way I'm going to survive for 4 years at something like this. Although I probably could have, the discipline and structure was to the maximum, as you would expect from a military school. As a freshman, you would have to walk a certain way in hallways. You could not look at certain people. You could only eat in certain areas. And although as an athlete, you probably got the most amount of accommodations and step ups, especially because the Naval Academy is a pretty good water polo team when it comes to their division and in the East Coast in general. You kind of got looked on with some grace and some exceptions for things. You got to miss certain classes that nobody was allowed to miss. But I was like, oh my goodness, this is a little bit crazy. Another school that I went to a recruiting trip for was Fordham University in New York. I thought maybe I'll go to somewhere like New York. I think I got off the plane in New York and was like, this is freezing. I hate this. This is so cold. I am definitely not going here. All of the pools were indoors. It was freezing. I was used to Arizona hot weather. There was no chance I was going to Fordham University. And then I also went to a recruiting trip in California, in Malibu, to Pepperdine University. And the little did I know at the time when I went to the recruiting trip, did I know that the club team that I had played on was a club team that Pepperdine watches closely. So Malibu and Simi Valley are very close to one another if you look at them at a map. I did not realize that the coaches were watching me while I was playing on the club team Ventura County Premier. So that was pretty cool. I loved that atmosphere. I don't know why. Maybe because I was meant to be a California kid, but everything was very laid back. Yes, there was structure. I believe Pepperdine University is a Church of Christ school as well. And so there was a dry campus. You could not drink on campus. The campus was absolutely outstanding. There was restaurants close by. You were decently close to like Santa Monica and nightlife. All of the people on the water polo team were a ton of fun. And it was a blast. I loved that recruiting trip. And I remember going through Malibu Canyon and seeing the ocean, seeing the beach. And I was like, you know what? I think that this is where I'm going to end up staying. It was warm. It was beautiful. And safe to say, I actually ended up sticking around at Pepperdine University. I had some funky experiences. My first semester of college, I came in wanting to be a physics major, which was very unusual for an athlete in general. A lot of athletes are not choosing to do something like a physics major. But like I said, I was kind of like a nerd and a jock. So I loved the sciences. Physics was my favorite class in high school as well. And one of the classes that I needed my first semester for physics coincided with practice time. The cool thing about Pepperdine is it's a very, very small school. So I knew everybody who was in my class for this semester. And I messaged everyone and said, hey, the class time is at this time. I actually have practice 30 minutes into that. Can we, if we all agree to it, can I approach the teacher and ask them to move the class a half an hour back so that I can attend this class? Everybody was like, yes, absolutely. We can totally do that. And then I went to the professor and I said, hey, I'd like to sit down, meet with you. I'd like to see if we can shift the class time just a little bit. I've already spoken to all the students who are in class. I would really like to make this happen. And that professor said, oh, you're an athlete? Why don't you do an easy major like sociology or something? And immediately I was rubbed the wrong way. And almost immediately I kind of walked out and I was like, I do not think I'm going to be a physics major just because of that one interaction. That completely undermined my entire goal, my entire process for trying to do something like that. And so I spent the first semester trying to figure out what I was going to do and ended up finding sports medicine. And boy, was that the best decision that I had ever made. Sports medicine was an amazing, amazing major. Like I said, Pepperdine was a pretty small school, so it was about the same size as my high school, was the size of the college as well. So we got to know everybody, teachers especially and professors especially. And the McRaes were some of the most amazing professors I had. There were other professors there, Cooker, Jaspers, let's see, Priscilla and Holden McRae, and there was a couple of others as well. But Holden and Priscilla became like a second family to me. I did not do well in anatomy physiology. Believe it or not, I'm not great at memorizing. I'm very good at critical thinking. I'm very good at problem solving, but memorizing things is not my strong suit because I do not like to sit and study and memorize. I do not like doing it. I'd rather go through process and learn things through trial and error. And it's safe to say, anatomy was all memorizing. It was just memorizing after memorizing after memorizing for the different systems of the body. And I ended up getting a C+ in anatomy, which was my worst grade that I'd ever gotten in school. Everyone was blown away. And I remember sitting down with Priscilla and Priscilla saying, Kolby, are you sure that you want to do sports medicine? Because everything else is based on this anatomy and physiology. And we were struggling through this whole thing. And I said, yes, absolutely. I still want to do this. Luckily for me, that was the base. And we used anatomy over and over and over and over and over again. So I got to review it again in my physiology class. I got to review it in my motor development class. I got to review it in my kinesiology class. I got to review it over and over and over again. So I got better and better and better and better at it. I ended up loving all of my sports medicine classes. I was a Bachelor of Arts in sports medicine, so I didn't take physics or chemistry for that track. It was a little bit more business and coaching oriented, which was, lo and behold, perfect for me. Played water polo on the team for 2 seasons. And after 2 seasons, there was an unfortunate circumstance where I got told I could either take my financial aid for water polo, or take my financial aid and not play water polo, or I could take no money and I could not play sports. Or I could play sports. So I could either take my money and not play sports, or take no money and play sports. Unfortunately for me, that was not an option. The financial aid was the only reason that I was able to attend Pepperdine University. Um, I got very, very lucky with the grants that were granted to me. I got about an 85% financial aid with grants and scholarships and things like that, about 15% school loans, and ended up getting told I couldn't play anymore. It was no longer an option, and that was a big chasm in my life. A lot of my friends in that time, I kind of got pulled away from, kind of got separated. I had a coach. I got to be a team manager for a semester or so while I was trying to figure out, am I going to try to come back and play? Am I just going to not play and move on? What was going to happen? And I had a coach that said, hey, you made your choice. Move on or come back and play. Don't do this middle ground thing. He didn't quite say it in that quite of a nice way. And it was echoed with conversations with the other teammates who said, hey, coach doesn't want us hanging out with you anymore because you're not on the team anymore. So ended up getting pulled kind of out of that, and a little bit of a spiral with some, it's easy to look back and see that now. I didn't really realize that as at the time. A little bit of depression, gained a bunch of weight. I was gaining 30, 40 pounds. Not exercising because team sports had been my exercise my entire life, and decided I needed to get back into something. And so I started going to the gym 6 a.m. every day. I went to the university gym every morning. I would do, 45 minutes of metabolic conditioning or cardio, whether it was treadmill, whether it was bike. I would do that for 45 minutes, and then I would do some sort of strength training for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So I'd spend an hour and a half in the gym every day. I did it Monday through Friday for 6 weeks. I committed to myself that I would do it Monday through Friday for 6 weeks. And then that 6 weeks ended, and I was like, I cannot keep doing this. This absolutely sucks. I hated going to the gym by myself. I hated pushing myself. It was really, really hard. I loved the team environment. I loved having a coach. I loved having a program set out for me so that I didn't have to create it. That was the best case scenario for me. And so one day that same semester, I was also running with a friend, and I was getting my butt handed to me. I thought I was in shape. I was a collegiate water polo player. I played on the junior national team, and my friend Hannah was kicking my butt, running circles around me. And when we finished the run, I was like, what is going on? What are you doing? Because that was insane. I don't know how you're so in shape. She said, oh, I did this thing called CrossFit. You should maybe try it. And so I said, okay, let's try it. I tried CrossFit at CrossFit Malibu. She was a coach at the time, and Mike had let Hannah do my onboarding, my one-on-one sessions for whatever he would pay her. So I got a very inexpensive onboarding experience, and then it was time to come pay membership. And I was like, how much is this? And he said, at the time it was $190 with a student discount, $190 a month. And I was kind of like, deer in headlights. What? $190? Like, I'm a college student. Like, I don't have any money. He said, yep, it's $190. You want to do this, you'll make it work. And I was like, yeah, but come on. I'm a college student. I don't have any money to make this happen. He's like, if I didn't think it was worth every penny, I wouldn't ask for it. And that has stuck with me for the rest of my life. I made it happen. I ended up getting jobs after I stopped playing water polo. I worked in a couple of different restaurants to make money. And I paid it. paid $190 a month. It was some of the best experience that I had ever had. It was a ton of fun. And I also got the opportunity within a year of then to start an internship with that gym. I got to be an intern for about 9 months. I got school credit for that internship. That was the cool thing about the Bachelor of Arts. We needed an internship that was in the field. This was an amazing internship. I took my level 1 and I was hooked. Learning all of this stuff was that how all of the stuff I was learning in school could attend and break down exactly applicable in the field that I was looking at. Looking back, I got to start coaching in fall of 2013. And I remember Holden and Priscilla were both professors at the time, professors of mine, but they were also members at this gym. And in the classroom, they were Dr. McRae. And at the gym, they were Holden and Priscilla, which I really loved. That allowed me to have an amazing connection with these professors. And reflecting back several years later, before they moved away, I said, it was so intimidating for me to have you teach me in the classroom and then have me turn around and coach you in the gym. I was always so nervous, that you knew so much more than me and that I wasn't doing a good job. And they said, Kolby, you were bad. You were a bad coach, but you were learning. You were gaining the experience. You were making the changes. And so we knew that. We were well aware of it. And being able to reflect back and have some of my professors say, hey, where you are now, this was like 2017, 2018, from where you started in 2013, 2014, is crazy. We knew that you were going to get the hang of this. We knew that you were going to step up. We knew that you were going to take this seriously. So that was really cool, fun feedback. So I loved CrossFit. It didn't quite pay the bills, although I was getting all the education I could. I graduated in January of 2013 from college, and I stuck around in Malibu saying, let me see how long I can make this happen. And while I was doing that, I had also decided that I was going to try to get into the fire department somewhere in Southern California. I decided that there was going to be 3 things that I wanted to do with my life. For whatever I was going to do, it had to, 1, it had to use my body. So I had to be in some sort of physical condition, or I had to be active while doing it. Number 2, it wasn't going to be a regular 9-to-5 job. I did not want to sit in an office and work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And number 3, it had to be service. I wanted to be serving other people. I wanted to be living with a purpose, and I wanted to be dedicating my life to helping other people in some manner. And so when I looked at a bunch of different jobs for this, I thought fire department is going to be this job, this position. It's very physical. There's lots of physical activity. You got to be training and ready for the unknown and unknowable. It is not a 9-to-5 job. You work 24 hours at a time, and it's a life of service. When you go and help somebody, you don't ask for anything in return. You just get to help people constantly. Super appealing. So I applied for years and years and years, probably about 4 or 5 years of applying, taking tests, doing physical exams, doing interviews from Northern California to Santa Barbara to LA to Santa Monica to San Diego, all over the place in Southern California, and not getting in, all while working in a restaurant and coaching as well, continuing to learn. And at one point, I kind of figured out, hey, well, I guess a good thing to share as well is during this, I had also tried out for the LA County Fire Department, but under the lifeguard division. So it was the only lifeguard division that was under the fire department. And I thought, lifeguard, I think I might like that. That was my first job in high school, or in at all. I lifeguarded at a YMCA. Then I lifeguarded at the Pepperdine pool. Then I lifeguarded at a private beach club during college and after college. And I was like, maybe I want to be an LA County lifeguard. They're part of the fire department. Let me just try. I was a water polo player and a swimmer, and I failed the first 2 years. There's a swim test that is extremely rigorous, and I ended up not making or not passing the swim test 2 years in a row. A third year, I almost did not take that test. I almost just went on and said, you know what, it's not going to happen, not going to make it happen. And someone else decided, you know what, you should just sign up, take the test. Even if you don't make it, just do it for fun. So I did. Lo and behold, I made it that year. It takes 65. I ended up being like 53 of that race, and I got on 2016. So I was also now a ocean lifeguard, and this is a temporary, summers only, from Labor Day to Memorial Day to Labor Day, and it was a ton of fun. I was also now in this fire department, and I was also working at the gym, and I had been thinking, now, man, I want to be in the fire department because there's going to give me so much financial security and so much time flexibility that I can go and open a gym. And after saying that to myself for a little while, I ended up saying, why am I trying so hard to get into this fire department just so that I can pursue this gym thing that I really want to do? And I kind of decided to switch that mindset, and I decided, hey, you know what? I need to go and I need to start my own gym. And that was one of the hardest things, most difficult things for me to actually do. I was very nervous about it. I was not confident about it. I second guessed myself constantly. And it wasn't until about 2018 that was going to become a reality, when I came up to CrossFit Oxnard and was potentially going to buy the space. Things didn't work out. I did not end up buying the space, but I became an employee at CrossFit Oxnard. And then for the first time ever, I made a full-time living as a coach. And I thought, maybe I don't need to own this gym in order to be a full-time employer, in order to make money as a coach. I loved doing it. Things evolved, and COVID hit, and lots of other things happened, and the owner moved away, and I made an offer to take over this space, CrossFit Oxnard, which was now Oxnard MVMNT. And we made the switch. We made it happen. It was a big, scary life transition, but we made it happen. Some other things that I was also very nervous. I was not sure that I was going to be able to handle what it was. I was not sure I was able to handle the responsibility, the burden. But I had an amazing, amazing team of mentors, an amazing team of employees as well, that kind of stood behind me and helped me walk through that. A lot of my friends and family helped bring me through that process and through that transition, which was great. Shortly after this, I went through a separation with my then wife, Liz, who, if anybody has been through a separation, it is never something that you anticipate or plan for at all. And there was an extremely difficult time of my life. I'm sure it was for her as well. That's not something that you ever want to wish upon anybody. And ended up getting a divorce, and I am so extremely thankful and extremely lucky to have the community and the people here at Oxnard MVMNT. They were some of the most supportive, helpful, and uplifting people that I could have been around during this time. I think my situations would have been way different if I didn't have the help and support of my friends, family, that I call Oxnard MVMNT. So if that is something that you've ever struggled with, definitely finding a community of people to help you stay together, to move forward, to move on, to pick your head up, to get back up. Exercise was hard. Food was hard. Alcohol was hard during that time. So finding somewhere to pull yourself into and having that be potentially a gym, I am extremely, extremely grateful for the space that everyone held for me and kept me up. Um, then what have we been doing lately? We have been a mix of building our team here at Oxnard Movement, and I've been doing a ton of play. I love using my fitness to go out and learn new things, to like have fun, to do skills, to learn sports. Uh, our mission statement here at the gym is to help others find joy. We want to use our passion in health, fitness, and personal development as a tool for learning more about ourselves, about others, and about the world around us. We want to foster honest relationships through meaningful fitness and community, and we want to promote a balanced and healthy lifestyle via fitness, connection, and personal development. So we've been honing in and defining what it means to us to be successful in our mission. Who do we want to be serving? How do we serve them best? Building the team that helps us do that. It's been an incredible process. We've gone through ups and downs. We've done a ton of fun things with the gym. We've learned some rock climbing. We've learned some pickleball. We've played some softball. We've gone sailing. I've picked up sailing. That's one of the things that I missed talking about in this episode. I live on a sailboat. I've raced the last couple of years. This year, I got to have some people from the gym be on my sailing team, which was a ton of fun. And we're just looking towards the future. I also am in another amazing relationship with Kira and her daughter Benji. They're incredible ladies and a ton of fun. And so things are moving forward and they're moving up. And we've been doing a mix of me being back in the gym and doing some coaching and doing some leading of our business as the vision caster, as the marketer, as the person who lets others know about what's going on in this space. So if you want to know anything more about my life, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Whether you're a member or whether you're just curious about my life, shoot me an email, kolby@oxnardmovement.com, or shoot me a text at 805-826-1470. And I would love to connect up. Let's get some coffee. Let's talk for half an hour. Get to know me a little bit more. I'd love to get to know you a little bit more. Maybe you would be a great fit for our space. Even if you're not, if you're crushing it in other things, I love that for you. My goal is that everyone lives happier, healthier lives. And until next time, see you later.